Hi, I'm Tony. Welcome to Sports Bike Shop's review of the Alpinestars Supertech R10 helmet. It took Alpinestars 10 years to design and develop this, their first road and race motorcycle helmet. And now it's my job to try and explain it in detail and also give you an idea of what I discovered when I wore one of these helmets out on the road and also on a racetrack. Now, there are two versions of what is essentially the same helmet. One comes only in plain colours, it's got a short spoiler at the back, and it costs $849.99 as we record this. The other type comes in graphic designs like this, and it's got a long spoiler at the back, and this is the pricier model at £999.99. I wore this helmet for the review with the longer spoiler, but I think everything I found with this helmet would hold true for this other version. Either way, the shell is made up of 4 layers: carbon, carbon composite, aramid fibres, and then fiberglass. Alpinestars say the carbon composite layer stops the shell compressing in an impact, and then the fiberglass and aramid layers are there to stop objects penetrating the shell. It is a very stiff helmet and it's difficult to compress it by much at all at the main aperture. Weight comes in at 1620 grams on our scales for this size medium. If you're looking at one of the plain versions of this helmet with the shorter spoiler, then they weigh 30 grams less at 1590 grams thanks to that short spoiler. Having worn this R10 on both road and track, it didn't feel heavy though. I thought the balance was perfect, and that's the key issue with things like that, balance. The shell has shallow V-shaped cutouts at the sides, which reduce the chances of the shell whacking into your collarbone in a crash. The EPS impact liner does fill that V-shaped space, so you've still got impact protection behind there. As well as the spoiler on the back, there are winglets on the sides to improve stability in the wind flow. Alpinestars estimate a 4.54% reduction in drag thanks to those spoilers and winglets, and I'm going to have to take their word for that. I wore this on a track day on an 82 horsepower Suzuki GSX-8R, so I didn't get up to MotoGP speeds where you'd expect to feel the benefit of that aerodynamically. Couldn't tell you whether this is down to the winglets or not, but 130 miles an hour I found stability to be very good. There's a wind deflector fitted to the chin in the original trim of this helmet, but I found a lot of air would enter through the base when I wore the lid with that fitted. There's a chin curtain supplied with the helmet that cuts out a lot of that air, but you do have to remove this deflector to install that. Venting for the Supertech R10, that's excellent. The upper chin inlets here open in 2 stages. They channel air to the top of the chin bar and they worked well for me. Pulling out this rubber bung at the front opens the lower vent, which then brings some air through the chin bar and it can exit on 2 holes on the inside. That doesn't give a direct blast of air, but it does work better than its appearance would suggest. Sliding the top vent shutter back uncovers 4 holes that each have a route for air to flow into the top of the helmet. Instead of channels in the EPS, there are grooves in the comfort liner for air to pass through, and then they can escape through outlets at the back where the shell meets the spoiler. This top vent was the best of the lot for me. I found the effectiveness and the venting of this helmet to be excellent. Okay, onto the visor. This is excellent as well. There's plenty of peripheral vision in both fields of view, even when tucked behind a bike screen. It drops in 7 steps till coming to rest in a position where there's a very small air gap, and then pushing the central tab down locks it down. Before you can lift it, you need to push the locking button back up to release that lock again. I found this a bit fiddly and frustrating at times, but I think with more time that would become more natural. Now, I'm not sure if Alpinestars designed it to be like this, but there is a way to get a larger cracked position. If you rotate this locking button while the visor's raised, then it will stop the visor's travel about 10 millimeters short of the bottom. The other cracked position only leaves a gap of about 2 or 3 millimeters. There are mounting posts on the visor for tear-offs, and you get a pack of tear-offs with the helmet, and then on the other side of that post there are pinlock pins, and you get a pinlock 120 insert supplied in the box as well. The visor change is easy, which is handy as the lid comes with 2 visors. You get this spare track-only visor in the box, and there's a clear visor on the helmet as standard. Right, let's go inside where there is plenty to cover. The comfort lining has 4 main parts: 2 cheek pads, a crown pad and a top pad. The cheek pads have emergency release tabs, and replacements for these come in thicknesses starting at 15mm and going up in 5mm increments to 40mm. If you buy from Sports Bike Shop, we can swap them to suit you at the time of purchase for no extra cost. If that's something you want to take up, then speak to our customer support team. It's worth spending some time getting it right first time if you can. The list price for a pair of new cheek pads for this helmet is £95. Those cheek pads aren't adapted to suit fitting in a pair of spectacles. I could fit my glasses in, but there wasn't much room, and it caused me a bit of discomfort around my temples after about 45 minutes. The crown pad is pretty conventional really, but it can be used to change the angle at which the lid sits on your head. Undoing the snaps at the neck and then putting them back in some anchors that are nearer the front of the lid will make the helmet sit back a little bit on your head. Now, the top pad is more innovative. The foam section of that is fitted to a plastic insert which then mounts into the helmet. The foam on that has some freedom to move around on the plastic insert, which helps if the helmet hits the road at an oblique angle, something like that. Rather than your head coming to a jarring halt, there's some free play then for it to move inside the helmet slightly, and that reduces the forces that are acting on your brain. You can also make the helmet sit higher or lower on your head by clipping the plastic insert into a different anchor within the EPS. The chin strap covers for the helmet that stop that strap irritating your neck, they're removable for cleaning, and the chin strap itself, it fastens with D-rings, really as we'd expect for a racing lid. That strap is quite long, but it's not extreme. Something else that's worth mentioning inside the helmet, the EPS impact liner has a smooth finish on it. Alpinestars say that's deliberate to help with that slip plane effect I mentioned earlier. If your head can slide a little inside the helmet in an impact, then that's safer for you. The EPS also has recesses for intercom speakers, but whether this helmet suits an intercom will depend on how determined you are to have an intercom. The recesses are very generous, even a pair of Cardo's biggest 45mm speakers will fit, and if they fit then I think anything will. The trouble is finding space on the shelf for the control module. Wherever you look there's something in the way. I have seen comms fitted to these helmets, but not in a way I'd be happy with, and I didn't even bother trying. Okay, let's move on to sizing, approvals and pricing. The Supertech R10 comes in sizes from extra small up to double extra large, and there are 4 shell sizes to cover that range. Helmet sizes extra small and small share the smaller shell, medium gets a shell to itself, and so does large, and then extra large and double extra large share the biggest shell of all. I wore my usual size, a medium. I did find it quite tricky to put the helmet on and take it off, but it felt absolutely fine once it was on. But the number of returns from customers suggests the R10 does come up quite small for quite a few riders. Now, I don't like talking about the head shapes a helmet's suitable for, but if someone held a gun to my head, then I'd say this is probably an intermediate oval internal shape. But I've got a round head and this felt comfortable for me, so just give it a try and see how it works on your head. Okay, approvals. All Supertech R10s are FIM approved for international racing. They've also got the ACU gold stamp that you'll need if you want to go on a track day or go racing here in the UK. It's approved to ECE 2206 for the road as well. There's no rating yet from the UK government's SHARP testing programme as we record this. If one of those does pop up, then we'll put the details for that in the description below. Right, pricing. The slightly more basic version of this helmet is the one that comes in plain colours and has got the short spoiler. That also comes with a drawstring helmet bag. You also get with that a spare tinted visor, a pinlock insert, a pack of tear-offs, and there's a chin curtain in the box as well. The list price for that helmet is £849.99 as we record this. This is the more expensive version, it's £999.99. It's got graphic schemes like this one, the long spoiler fitted, and there's also a swish helmet holdall to keep it in. With this one you get the spare visor, a pinlock, the tear-offs and the chin curtain as well, but you also get a shorter spoiler in case you want to swap to the shorter spoiler. This longer one only really benefits at higher speeds and it is a bit extravagant at normal road speeds. That's why you might want to swap it, but I doubt very much that many people have actually done that. Now, this is not a cheap helmet, but the 9 customers who've left a review for one of these as we record this have all said it feels like a good return for their money. Okay, time for me to wrap up. I'll be honest, I suspect you decided whether you wanted one of these helmets or not before I even started talking. Now, if you're the type of person who wanted one, I've discovered nothing that would make me try and talk you out of it, as long as it fits your head properly. Equally, if you're the person who didn't want one, then I've got no reason to try and talk you into it at all. To be perfectly frank with you, I didn't expect to like this Supertech R10. It came across as a bit over the top and a bit unnecessary, but I surprised myself because I ended up liking this helmet quite a lot. It felt reassuringly protective because it covers a lot of my head and the shell feels robust and stiff, yet the EPS on the inside is nice and soft. It's comfortable for me, it's well ventilated, it's nicely balanced, it's stable, and I don't find it noisy. That visor locking tab is a bit faffy for my liking, but I think I could get used to it. The inability to fit an intercom neatly is a problem in a road helmet really, as I like being able to communicate with others while I'm riding. I'd say overall this helmet actually is a bit of overkill for me, but if I spent more time on the track or if I had a total meltdown and decided to go racing again, then I'd be very happy to protect my noggin with a Supertech R10. I hope that tells you everything you wanted to know about the Alpinestars Supertech R10 helmet, but if there is anything you'd like to ask or to add, then please pop a comment below. Thanks for watching.